when it comes to debt restructuring. Don't delay, just do it. That's the message from European Policy Group, the Lisbon Council, warning that putting off the inevitable pretty much means throwing good money after bad, a move that ultimately increases bondholder losses. Well, Anne Mettler is the Lisbon Council's executive director. She joins me now from the World Economic Forum in Vienna. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. So, I mean, yeah, can I start by asking you about some of the comments, some of that analysis that you made in your recent report? Debt restructuring is pretty much inevitable, so we should pretty much do it now because bondholders will end up being in a worse position if we don't.
Well, I think that there's increasingly an understanding that this is something that is very likely to happen, even if officially, and this is also true here in Vienna, the official line is no debt restructuring, but what you hear outside of the official discussions is that, yes, this is likely to happen probably sometime after the summer break. And the reason why we published this study is simply to say we cannot just ignore certain facts and what are some of the lessons of past debt restructurings. So again, a very official side is this won't happen, but unofficially, and what I'm hearing here in the corridors is yes, very likely to happen.
So just on that point about restructurings that have taken place in the past, how can those lessons be applied to the situation we have now?
Well, the unprecedented, what makes this situation so unprecedented is a debt restructuring in the context of a currency, of a monetary union. And here we really are in sort of uncharted territory. So even if we can take lessons from other countries that have gone through this experience, it didn't really happen in the context of a monetary union where, of course, the risk of contagion is absolutely grave. So this is something that we need to be keenly aware of in this context. And this is why I think the ECB is so reluctant to even allow any kind of debate around these issues.
Well, exactly. So how is this going to be resolved? And I guess, you know, you yourself have sort of touched on the argument against your own sort of analysis there that a debt restructuring would be very counterproductive right now because it would increase contagion risk, because it would raise borrowing costs for other weaker Eurozone countries, namely Ireland and Portugal.
Well, I mean, what we are saying in the report, and I think that that there is a risk of throwing good money after bad. Greece got a bailout of 110 billion last year. Now we're talking about a second package for Greece. And frankly, where is this going to end? Especially when you look at countries such as Portugal and Ireland, which will also probably need additional funds. Then the risk of contagion becomes absolutely grave, because what are we talking about next? Spain, Italy, perhaps Belgium, which has been without a government for a long, long time now. And so this is, as I said, we are in uncharted territory, and I really have no prediction to make other than that we need to have a much, much more substantive discussion and can't just ignore this as happens also here in the official discussions.
And are you sensing that these substantive discussions are taking place, that constructive dialogue is happening?
Yes, I mean, the interesting thing for me is that there is really a sentiment that we need to move beyond this immediate crisis management, which has occupied us Europeans for such a long period of time, and really look at long-term drivers of competitiveness and new sources of growth. And this is something that I hear very, very clearly here, is that, yes, we need to deal with the crisis, but really what we need to be looking at is really the long-term drivers of growth, new sources of growth.
But, you know, this doesn't, I mean, we don't seem to be seeing any signs of this happening. We keep hearing, you know, long-term challenges for the Eurozone, lack of competitiveness, that needs to be more of a fiscal union as well as a monetary union. You know, we keep hearing about these things, but it seems that Eurozone policymakers have this inability to get ahead of the market, to take a more long-term view because of these short-term crises that keep on erupting.
Well, it's interesting because historically there's never been a successful monetary union without a political union. And so the sentiment here is, I think, that even though there are anti-European sentiments now, as we've seen, for instance, in Finland with the rise of the True Finns party, Yes, we are seeing a lot of skepticism and populism, but really the only way forward is for deeper integration, is for more of a political union. And this is, as I said, we are in unprecedented times. And even though this is really difficult, my prediction will be for greater economic and political integration going forward, so that we don't just deal with the immediate crisis management, but that our political leaders have the institutional and political tools to really deal with a longer-term strategy for Europe, which we so clearly urgently need.
Anne Mettler of the Lisbon Council, thank you very much indeed. Really interesting to get your thoughts on a number of challenges facing the region.